Hi there, this is Nelly from Ordinary People Saintly Souls, and in this playlist I am going to write parts of the story of Easter as Maria Valtorta, the Italian mystic, saw them in her visions. And this is all written in the book called The Poem of the Man God. This is from the fifth part, the fifth book. And I'm starting with the very end of the book, where Jesus describes why he wanted Maria Valtorta to see these visions. In the play notes, you will find all the information about the pages, and if you want to read it for yourself, go ahead. But I realize that the language sometimes is quite complicated, maybe old-fashioned, and I thought I might do some people a favor by more or less recapturing it for them and summarizing it. So here is my rendition of what Jesus describes as the reasons for these 5 volumes of visions, of scenes from the New Testament. And this is in my book 5, pages 478 till 482. Jesus says, "You are perishing and I want to save you. My love for the church, my desire to help souls and to climb towards perfection is the reason for these visions. Because my word is life and it helps you to rise." Jesus wants to teach us the truth of Christ as the divine creature and the human being, the man God, real and perfect in faith and perfect in what is written about him in the New Testament. He wants to show us that the universality of his message and its continuity to the end of times is a message that will be given for all human beings. The gospel is for all of us who are thirsty for God. And Jesus hopes that at the end of time, there will be more faith and charity in the hearts of those who do not give up, and that there will be good works greater than those that are evil. So this message was also given to instill a love for the gospel in our hearts, and to make us understand more about the role of Jesus' mother, Saint Mary, and her role in the salvation of the world through her perfect love and her obedience. Furthermore, the message is to help spiritual guides and teachers so that we understand better the different methods in approaching different people, and to help understand the different culture in which Jesus lived. In every culture, the word of God has to be retranslated and retransmitted so that we understand it according to our frameworks. The next reason Jesus gives is that we truly understand his suffering, not just for a few hours, but it actually increased every year by the daily torture of being rejected, of the unbelief that he encountered. And he suffered because his mother suffered, because of the way he was treated, and especially when he was rejected and kicked out of villages, and when people started to shout at him that he was a false prophet. And he wants to show us how his message was received. Some of those receiving his message were ignorant, violent, imperfect, but at the same time they were full of goodwill. And for example, he mentions Judas. He says Judas was a learned, refined, cultured person who was close to the temple, but his will was evil. And the other disciples grew in faith. They conquered their disorderly passions and temptations to be with God. So God gives us everything to be converted, but we have free will. We cannot be forced. God will never force us. It is up to us. So Jesus says that his word, when it is received with goodwill, transforms, and it leads to external and internal perfection. The next reason for this revelation, for this book, is to understand the apostles better. They quarreled, they were selfish, they were jealous, impatient, they were proud, they were eager to show off by also performing miracles. But they became different people. During the time they were with Jesus, they were transformed, and they ever grew in understanding the divine. Another reason is so that we understand the mystery of Judas. So he talks about Judas twice. Because the question is, how can a spirit who was favored by God fall so deep? How can a son of God become a demon? So Jesus advises us to study Judas, to study the complexity of his character, and to realize how easy it is for all of us to become a type of Judas. So these were the reasons that Jesus mentions for the book called The Poem of the Man God. And until Easter, I will try to give in very short videos several of the scenes and of the events that happened leading up to the crucifixion. And so I hope to end on Easter Sunday. And the next, in the next sequence of events, Jesus showed Valtorta his visit to Lazarus whom he had raised from the dead, and where he goes in the beginning of what you would, at the beginning of what you could almost call a preaching marathon. These are only a few weeks, but actually when you look at what he did in these few weeks, like I think it's 2 weeks that I'm talking about, 2 weeks leading up to Easter, he was almost repeating all his messages, all his wisdoms to the disciples and to the people around him, to somehow summarize his message and to make sure that everybody understood what he had been trying to teach them. So this was Nelly from Ordinary People, Saintly Souls, and I hope to see you in the next video.